So, what do billions of prehistoric marine creatures, a fertilizer, a ubiquitous building material, and an ancient antiseptic have in common? Well, the answer is behind me. It is, of course, limestone. And limestone can be found from the Wye Valley in the east, way over to Pembrokeshire in the west. And hundreds of millions of years ago, marine organisms settled on the bed of shallow tropical seas. And then through massive compaction and mineralization, formed into these incredible layers of rocks. And limestone has produced some absolutely stunning landscapes, like these sometimes friable cliffs behind me, and the wonderful, starkly beautiful landscapes along the Blaenau of South Wales. Here at Penwith, at the head of the Swansea Valley, is an area that I find so full of interest. It's chock-a-block with natural and human history. This is a global geopark, and it's so designated because of its amazing limestone landscapes, including these wonderful limestone pavements where the exposed rock is host to a wide range of plants. The views from the top of this incline, they are just simply breathtaking. Looking down towards Swansea and the coast in one direction, and then right their way across the heads of the valleys of South Wales in the other direction. What a wonderful place to be. This was once a quite important industrial complex. There were brickworks, lime kilns, railways, inclines. It was a very busy place. In fact, it's thought that about 350 people lived here at one time, in workers' cottages like the ones behind me, but now they're the headquarters of the South Wales Caving Club, because this is a phenomenally important area for caves. Many years ago, when I was much younger, much slimmer and much fitter, I was a member of the Cwmbran Caving Club. And we spent gloriously happy hours exploring the mines and caves of Wales. And one of the most challenging caves is here, Ogof Ffynnon Ddu, the cave of the Black Spring. It's actually the deepest cave in Britain. It's 1,000 feet deep, and passages have been explored to the extent of 30 miles. But now, alas, stiff joints and very much an expanding wasteland precludes underground exploration for me, although I would dearly love to be able to once more get inside and experience the joy of caving here in South Wales. Caves are formed because limestone is soluble in mildly acidic water. So as water percolates down through the joints and the cracks, it eventually erodes out much wider tunnels and then ultimately larger chambers and caverns. And if you want to see some really magnificent and beautiful caverns and chambers, then you need to visit the National Show Cave Centre for Wales at Ogof. There's no doubt about it, but underground exploration in these caves can be so exciting. And this cave, Porthor Ogof, near Ystrad, it's attracted visitors for centuries. It was a favourite spot for the local artists and from artists much further afield. For instance, the Merthyr-born artist Penry Williams came here and painted this incredible view. But Thomas Horner, he actually got inside the cave and painted it looking outwards. And to catch the scale and majesty of the place, he produced his painting in the form of a panorama which had wings that could fold out. William Weston Young wrote in the early years of the 19th century, in his book, The Beauties of the Vale of Neath, he spoke about these lovely waters of the Mester. And here's a little poem. There in one mass uniting pour their flood, over broken ledges to the deep below. A high-toned echo fills the bordering wood, and silently away the placid waters flow. In the summertime, when the water levels of Avon Mester are low, they mysteriously disappear just at the cave entrance to then reappear several hundred meters downstream at the resurgence. In wet weather, however, this can be a very, very dangerous place, especially when Mester floods and overwhelms the entrance into the cave. I remember in the early 1970s being a member of the cave rescue backup team, and we were carrying in equipment for the experienced divers who were searching for the body of a caver. This cave has to be treated with the greatest of respect. It's not a place to fool around in. You have to take places like this very, very seriously. Well, after the Stygian gloom of the cave, it's so nice to be here in the open air again, in these quarries on the Black Mountain between Bryn Aman and Llangadog, and the views are just wonderful from here. Eastwards we look across the industrial valleys of South Wales, and westwards behind me, of course, there's rural Carmarthenshire and further west into Pembrokeshire. This is one of those places where we can so clearly see the abrupt juxtapositioning between industrial and rural South Wales. Limestone has been quarried here for many hundreds of years, but most of the remains that we can see today date from the 19th and well into the 20th century. Burned lime was so very important for agriculture, and farmers came from far and wide, especially in springtime, to pick up loads of this valuable fertilizer. Well, this is a very sad and poignant memorial to David Davis, who is aged just 22 years, of Glynclouth Farm, Gwynfer, was killed at this spot on the 21st of May 1884. His horse bolted and he fell under the wheel of his cart, which was laden with lime. Lime burning was a dirty and polluting business. Layers of coal and limestone were placed in these kilns and burned very slowly at temperatures between 800 and 1000 degrees centigrade. Part of this process was the generation of huge quantities of carbon dioxide. The heat generated by these kilns was often very attractive to itinerants who came to them seeking warmth and shelter. But there could be extreme dangers because, of course, the fumes were noxious, and there are instances of people being rendered unconscious and rolling into the open kilns. The consequences of that are too horrible to contemplate. The Western Mail on the 21st of February 1882 recorded that a body had been found, and I quote, "while sleeping had been suffocated by the fumes and the poor unfortunate had actually rolled into the kiln. Slaking lime is an exciting but dangerous process. Besides its use as a fertilizer, lime was important for many purposes. It was especially employed in the disposal of corpses. Plague and other disease victims were often covered in their burial pits with quicklime, as indeed were paupers, criminals, and many others. And lime wash was often used as an antiseptic during outbreaks of disease. Also, very importantly, it was used in lighting in theatres, where performers were said to be in the limelight. There are dozens and dozens of lime kilns to be found along our coastline in small harbours, but most of them are small in scale. But when you come inland to here in Llanderbeer, we have this impressive run of kilns here, and it was the opening of the railway in 1857 that was the spur to their construction. These kilns are on private land, so obviously we can't get inside, but nevertheless we can get this excellent view of this run of kilns, this whole industrial process. And I love these on my right hand side because these were designed by the then owner, Richard Kirk Penson, who was also an architect. Well, he really had great plans for these kilns, and he produced drawings showing his vision. And here they are in their wonderful Gothic come Italianate revivalist splendour, with their soaring arches and their lovely bricked ornamentation. Alas, his plans didn't come to full fruition, but let's be thankful that his kilns are still with us today, along with the others that were built at intervals during the rest of the 19th century. I think they are wonderful, because they show the way that concepts towards industry changed over that 50 years, from these rather superb Gothic glories to the much more workaday structures as we progress through towards the end of the 19th century. But nevertheless, regardless of what date they're built, they are just terrific examples of industrial architecture. Limestone has served us well for centuries, as it continues to do so today. And what could be better than spending an afternoon walking below the cliffs here at Southerndown on the Jurassic coast, looking for evidence of those marine creatures that lived and died so many million years ago, and who have proved so beneficial to us in so many ways throughout our history.